Hello, it's Little Italy in Jana's kitchen today. And so I am going to make homemade Italian meatballs. Who doesn't love that? You know, I'm trying to come up with some ideas to stretch your meat because it's getting so expensive, and I'm going to do stretching kind of meals once in a while and help out on that. So what I've got in this bowl is 1.5 cups of panko, which is a Japanese breadcrumb, but you can buy them at literally any store, including Walmart, and your local store will have them. They don't have to be like this. As long as it says panko, it'll be the same thing. So 1.5 cups of that. I mean, I have all kinds of different kinds. I mean, I buy some from a restaurant supply. And so that's what I'm talking about when I say panko. If you don't have any panko, guess what? You can use left day-old bread or whatever and use 1.5 cups. So these days we're not going to waste. Use what you have. If you've got some, stale bread, grate it with a cheese grater. And so that's what I've got in here. And I soaked it for a few minutes in 3/4 cup, so half the amount. So I put in 1.5 cups of panko, and I put in 3/4 cup of milk. Okay. And so now I'm going to add my eggs. I have 3 eggs. I'm going to just gently beat those up. Bang! I'm going to mix those into the panko milk mixture, just like that, okay? And eggs are a binding agent, and they're going to help that meat to stick together with your meatballs. And so then we have 1/4 cup of Romano cheese, and then 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese. And this is fresh, but you can use the shaker, the green shaker can that you get in the grocery aisle. Whatever you have, you use that. There we go. Got 1/2 cup. Put that in there. We don't want to waste a little sliver of that. And then we're going to use 2 pounds of ground beef. And so for each pound of ground beef, and remember, the cheese is salty. The Parmesan cheese and Romano has a salty flavor. Plus we're going to be adding in some spaghetti sauce that already has seasoning in it. So we don't want to over salt these, okay? So I'm going to put in about 1/2 teaspoon of salt into that. And then we're going to add some pepper. I cut my fingernails off today. I've been doing canning, and they've been brutalized. And so I just cut them off so I can get them done again. I'm going to wait till I'm done canning. And then black pepper to taste. We like black pepper. If you don't like black pepper, leave it out. That's with everything that I do. If you don't like it, don't put it in there, okay? Use what you have. So there's that. See, now it's kind of getting stiffed up again with that dry cheese in there. And so now I'm going to, get the salt out of the way here. And then here I went ahead and did it ahead of time to save time. I have 1 onion, large onion, that I went ahead and diced it fine. And then when it was about halfway cooked through, then I added 3 ounces of pancetta. But you can use just regular bacon, okay? And then I put in 3 cloves of garlic. And I cooked that in a little bit of olive oil. Use butter, bacon grease, whatever you have, okay? When you go out to a restaurant, we were just on vacation not too long ago. It is expensive to eat out. And do you know how many servings this is going to make? We'll count when we're done. And so I've got $14 invested because I didn't count the things that I already had in my pantry, like seasonings and things, okay? So now I've got a tablespoon of parsley. Now, here's where it's going to get personal. There's oregano and basil that you can put in. There's all kinds of Italian herbs from different companies. There's already dry ones. There's a grinder one. I mean, there's all different kinds of makes. I'm going to use what I have. If you hear banging in the background, the golden retrievers are playing with their bones. Jack and Bailey. And so this is one of my favorites. I really like this one. So I'm going to put in, to your taste, about, you can use thyme, you can use rosemary, and these already have all of that in it. This one has onion, garlic, red and black pepper, sea salt, Mediterranean spices, which includes all those things that I was just talking about. Then I'm going to use Jack. He's ringing the doorbell. Just a minute, Jay. Just a minute, Jack, okay? Just a minute. I'm going to add a little bit of basil. Aaron's going to let you out. I'm going to get those out of the way. I like that one too, but I think that'll be enough. There. So I got all my wet and flavor ingredients in the bowl, okay? Oh, I got to show you this. I have, what is that? That is a mozzarella stick. Now Bailey wants to go out, so I guess Aaron's going to let Bailey out. So this is a mozzarella stick, and so I took 3 mozzarella sticks and I diced them up, so I'm going to put those in there. That is an option. You can use grated mozzarella. You don't have to put any mozzarella in. I already had cheese sticks in the refrigerator, so we put those in. My daughter, Kate, she did that. So here I have a 1.5 cups of your favorite spaghetti sauce, okay? You can use your homemade, store-bought, whatever. Now I'm going to add my meat in. I'm going to go light on the pasta sauce because it looked like it was, I should have got a bigger bowl. I thought I had a big enough bowl here. I want to get it. I have clean hands. I washed my hands right before we started. And when I cook, I always wipe my spices off. And you can use ground chuck like I did. You can use 1 pound of ground pork and 1 pound of ground beef. You can use veal and pork, or all of whichever one you want. Okay, I guess Aaron did get one for me. We just want to make sure we get it mixed up just right. You don't want to overmix meatloaf or meatballs or any of those types of things. Do not overmix them. But you want to get it all combined so you get those flavors all the way through it. And the other thing you can do, if this is the first time you've made them, is you can take a little bit like this and fry it up in your skillet and taste it. See if it needs salt or pepper or more Italian seasonings or whatever you like, okay? That's a really good idea to do that. I just know you don't want them too salty. We're going to come back in just 1 second. I'm going to wash my hands and then we're going to get these onto the baking sheet. Okay, we're back. Got everything out of the way here and brought my cookie sheet over. And it's got a little parchment on it. If you don't have any parchment, you can use tin foil. I just wet my hands. We're going to be making some meatballs, and if you can portion them equally, then they're going to bake equally. There we go. These are going to be nice. I'm telling you what, my husband loves a meatball that's kind of crispy on the outside but soft on the inside and very flavorful. And he loves, every time we go to an Italian restaurant, no matter what he orders, if he orders chicken Parmesan, I promise you he's going to order a side of meatballs. He loves meatballs. And so you want to just roll them nice. And I've got my oven set at 400, and I'm going to start them off at 400 to get, like I said, that crispy on the outside. You can also fry these in a fry pan, but you're going to want some standing oil, okay? You don't want to just put a little bit of oil in. And so with the oil prices right now, you may want to do what I'm doing and bake, because oil has gotten so high, just like meat and everything else. God darn it. Nice, smooth on the outside. Let's see how many I'm going to get here with this size I'm making. Sometimes I make them smaller, sometimes I make them bigger. And portioning, this is like, I will probably eat one, maybe two of these. They're about a 1/4 cup in size here. My scooper is. Trying to figure out my spacing here. You don't want to have some bigger than the other. They're not going to bake evenly. Some of those have chunks of cheese. Yummy, yummy cheese. Look at, we put in Romano, we put in fresh Parmesan, or you can use the canned Parmesan. We put in fresh mozzarella sticks. So these are yummy. But for 2 pounds of ground beef, it's about $5 a pound I paid. So that's $10. And then I had $4 of pancetta, but it wouldn't cost you that much if you used bacon instead. So there's $14. And then I already had all the spices, as you could see. And then the mozzarella sticks, I bought a huge pack of 40 of them for $8. And I only used, I think, 3.5 of those. The doggies, Jack and Bailey, got to have some too. I think this is going to work out perfectly with the 4th cup each on this pan. You can shut it off. I didn't know if I was going to need more or not, if I was going to be sticking here, and thank you. She shut the water off. I left it going in case I needed to keep my hands wet. Look at that. That is perfect. End of the bowl. All of them are even. Let's see if I can put that all back in there and see. A little bit there. So I think the first one looked a little shy. I'll put it on that one. Got a couple of them looked a little shy. And look at 20 meatballs. That feeds 10 people. That's $1, maybe $1.25 each if they eat 2. That is a very efficient, meat efficient meal. You try and feed 10 people for that much money. That would be really difficult, unless of course you're using a box mix of some kind, but not with meat. So I think that's a really good way to stretch your money. I'm going to go ahead and put these into my oven, and we'll be back in a few minutes, and I'm going to show you the sauce that I'm going to make for my spaghetti. I almost forgot to tell you before I put these in the oven. Well, I do. And even if it's the green shaker can, add a little bit to the top, because you'll see when they come out of the oven how pretty they look. Okay, and this also adds flavor. And then I added a little bit of Italian herbs to the top, just lightly. And you'll see when they come out how it just adds a little bit of pizzazz to the look of them. Okay, I'm going to stick these in a 400-degree oven, and then halfway through the baking time, I'm going to turn it to 350. We'll be back. Welcome back. I am going to show you how I make my homemade marinara sauce. You can use your favorite jarred spaghetti sauce, your homemade sauce, whatever you like. Up in Chicago, they call it gravy when it's pasta sauce. The Italians do. So I've got some olive oil. It's about a half a cup of olive oil. And into the olive oil, I'm going to add garlic. This is my handy dandy garlic shaver. You don't want to cook garlic but 30 seconds or so. And I've got about 3 cloves of garlic in here. You just want to kind of warm it. You don't want to fry it because it'll turn bitter. And you can dice it. I do not prefer personally, but if you like it, you do you. I do not like the jarred in oil already pre-diced garlic. I think it looks funky. I don't think it tastes fresh, but you do you. Okay. And look at, see how it's just barely sizzling there? That's what you want. We're going to give about 30 seconds here until we can smell the aroma of this. Whoop. Can you smell it, Erin? And now, this is your preference. We are going to add some red pepper flake. You do not have to put any in. I like mine spicy, so I'm going to do that. You can also use the Calabrian chilies. They come in a jar and they're hot and they're delicious. I love that. See, now I'm watching that garlic very closely because we do not want that garlic to fry. And so the oil is going to release the essence of the chili powder too, or chili powder, chili flakes, the red pepper flakes, kind of like you get on your pizza. And we're going to add, you can use your home canned ones, whatever, but these already come with basil, garlic, and oregano. I still always add more. But also, guess what's in the garden this time of year? It's August, so almost September. And so all of the tomatoes, if you've got grape tomatoes, you know what I'm talking about. They come in large quantities. I'm going to turn my fire up here a little bit. And so those are going to start to kind of pop. But that just, once again, we don't want to waste anything. And you can use all of your grape tomatoes, your cherry tomatoes in your garden instead of using the garlic and oregano ones. And just so you know, this can cost $1. I have garlic on my finger. $1.79. It used to be less than $1 at the grocery store. But I was at Aldi the other day, and the exact same thing with diced tomatoes with the basil, garlic, and oregano in them were 79 cents. So see, already you can save money. And so these are going to come to a simmer. I'm going to add about half a teaspoon of salt. I'm going to add some fresh black pepper. Remember I told you I like black pepper too, and I also have the red pepper flakes in there. There we go. And I've got some of that, once again, Italian seasoning. You can use whatever combination you want. I'm going to use this because it's got rosemary, and which one does this say it has? Marjoram, oregano, thyme, rosemary, savory, basil, and sage. So that's a great one. But yet, I still like Mexican oregano is my favorite. So I'm going to add some Mexican oregano, about half a tablespoon. And I still love basil. You can get sweet basil, whatever. And then, because I use some of my garden tomatoes, this is personal preference. You do not have to add this and it'll taste just fine. I think sometimes the garden fresh tomatoes can be a little tart, and so I'm going to put in just a couple pinches of sugar. Kind of takes that edge off those fresh tomatoes. And you can boil them and peel them if you want to, but I don't. I think it's fiber, so I'm going to eat them just like that out of the garden. This is going to simmer until those tomatoes are soft, and it'll probably come out just about the same time as our meatballs out of the oven. And I'm going to start, everything's about timing, so just in a short while here, I'm going to start the spaghetti, and it all depends upon what kind you have. Also, I was going to tell you, they have a bronze cut pasta at Aldi's. They don't pay me for this. I'm just trying to help people save money right now. And this is exactly like the Italian, it says authentic Italian macaroni product. That's in the very expensive $3 to $4 for a pound. And this is a pound, and it was $1 and like $1.99. And so that is really important. And this is good until June of 2025. So it's very shelf stable. So buy them when they're cheap. If you eat spaghetti, and they have linguine and they had fettuccine. So I'm going to be making fettuccine Alfredo with chicken in it one of these days real soon too. Kind of a Cajun chicken pasta. And so there we go. And we'll be back in just a few minutes. We are back, and we are about to check our meatballs. Got our thermometer. You want ground beef to be between 160 and 170. 170 is well done. And these are, whoa, 194. I have an instant read thermometer. So we know that they're done on the inside. I'm going to get another pot holder here. I have a thick one on this side because these were at 100. Look at those. I told you they'd be beautiful on the outside because that cheese helps. And so I'm going to set them aside, and they're going to set up a little bit while our pasta cooks. Okay, we are back, and guess what time it is? It is just minutes from eating. The pasta is just about done. I can tell by stirring it. It took longer than the 13 minutes. And remember to salt your water. For this amount of water in this size pan, for a pound of pasta, I used a little less than a tablespoon of salt. You don't eat all of that salt. All of it gets down the drain too, a lot of it. But you have to have salted pasta. Okay, so look at the progression. And you want the olive oil. If you like less olive oil, then put it in. But it makes, you'll see in a few minutes here, it makes such a nice marinara. With that oil, it flavors it all the way through. And those tomatoes are all broke down. The meatballs took about, at 400 degrees, they took about a half an, well, I cooked them at 400 degrees on my oven. Your oven may be different. 400 degrees for 15 minutes, and then I turned it to 350 for another 10 to 12 minutes. It wasn't quite a half an hour on those meatballs, but your oven may be different. I used my temperature probe, as you saw, and it was 190 degrees, and I know that done is 170, so it probably could have come out before that. I was just distracted. But they'll be fine, and they'll be moist inside. And so we're going to come back in just a few minutes. I'm going to drain off this pasta. It is just about done here, and then we'll be back. All right, it's Little Italy at Jana's Kitchen. And so we've got our plate ready to go here. Get some pasta, it's all done. Look, that's too much. A little bit more. I always do that, and it ends, I'm going to take it off, ends up looking like just the right amount. And really, truly, for me, about 1 cup of pasta, because once by the time you put everything on there, it gets huge. And now, look at, here is that meatball. I'm going to set it to the side, and I'm going to cut this open so you can see. Look at, it is perfectly moist inside and done. Remember, it's a little pink because it had the pasta sauce in it. So we're going to put that right there. I'm going to get another one. I like the crispy outside. I'm going to get one with crisp on it because I like that crispiness on it. That's flavor. Now I'm going to top it with my favorite marinara sauce. I like lots of sauce. See the oil? It doesn't really, it's in here, and that is flavor, and that's a little bit spicy. I'll grab my cheese over here. And Put some fresh Parmesan right on the top. This is a neat little thing from OXO. And you put your fresh Parmesan in it. Saves your knuckles. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you 2 ways you can serve it. You can also serve it in a bowl. And that's what I'm going to do for my husband. We'll be back in just a few.